But then we had our first kiss. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. I got lint in my eye. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are in this big wide world in which we live in. I was having a little ponder the other day and I realized that I haven't done a story time video on this channel for quite some time, and today is the day. I must say I do have quite a few story times up my sleeve that I haven't told on this channel yet. So if you're a fan of story time telling videos, then give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below and I will be sure to tell more stories, because in my 25 years of existence I feel like I've got a few stories to tell that I haven't spoken about on this channel. So do let me know if you're a fan of story time videos. Without further ado, I thought today I would spill some tea on my very first time with a girl. Yep, it's happening. I nearly choked. Pardon me. Let's get started. So this particular story is about not my very first time with a girl, because I did have an experience physically, but it was very much like a high school, like, exploratory kind of experience, and there wasn't like an emotional connection behind it. If you want to hear that story, let me know down below and I will be happy to tell it. But even though the story I'm going to tell you today was my second physical experience with a girl, it was definitely my first time having feelings for a girl and exploring that emotional connection and more physical connection, if that makes sense. So let's get started. Let's rewind and go way back to when I think I was like 17 years old at the time of this story. So I actually met this girl on Tumblr, which is very interesting. And so I was quite an active Tumblr user back in my high school days, as I'm sure a lot of you guys were too. Not gonna lie, I have refound my love for Tumblr and I am posting quite a bit on there and I enjoy it. I think it's a really good like creative space. If you're unfamiliar with what Tumblr is, it's basically a website and it's also an app. You basically have your own blog. You can post things, you can reblog things from other people's blogs, and you can message people and you can share photos and text posts and stuff like that. If that sounds appealing to you, go get Tumblr. I would recommend. I love it. I think it's such a creative space, and I also think there are a lot of queer people on Tumblr. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like most people on Tumblr are not straight from my personal experience, but it's quite an unexpected kind of place to meet someone that you end up like having a thing with. Well, that's what I thought. Because this was quite a while ago, I'm trying to actually remember how we first started talking. I'm pretty sure it was over this one Tumblr page which was called Girls Who Like Girls, and it's basically this blog on Tumblr where you can submit a photo and like a little description about you, and this page literally just posts heaps of girls who like girls, and you can find their blogs and message them and have a little chat and stuff like that. So I don't know if I had posted on there or she had posted on there, but somehow one of our posts ended up on there. Either I reached out to her or she reached out to me. I can't remember, it was that long ago. But from that we started chatting. And turns out she also lived in Sydney. She lived probably about a 45-minute drive from my house, and we started like messaging and everything like that and being like, oh, you're so pretty, you're really pretty. Like, it was very innocent, young, teenage, unsure of my sexuality kind of thing. Even though I was out to my family and most of my friends, it was still really new to me and it was all still uncharted territory. Besides my little high school experimentation experience, which let me know if you want to see that. I can post it. So it was really exciting. It was kind of like, you know, that first crush kind of feeling where you've got the butterflies in your stomach, you're talking to this person, you have a little crush. And that's what kind of developed online between this girl and I. I'm gonna call her Jessica. So I don't know how long we were talking on Tumblr for, but we then moved to text messaging and eventually into talking on the phone. All I remember is that we would talk for hours and just have a laugh, and it was all kind of, it was really like nerve-wracking. Like, I remember being really nervous. She just got the butterflies going in my tummy and we continued talking for some time. It then got to a point where we were like, we should probably meet up in real life. Like, I want to meet you. Let's make something happen. But at this point in time, none of us had expressed how we felt about the other person, that we liked each other. It was kind of like the elephant in the room that we both kind of felt, but we were kind of too scared to say anything. So fast forward a little while, I wouldn't recommend this, but I ended up giving her my address and she was like, I'll get a taxi to your house. So some time passed and I basically invited her over to my house. I wouldn't recommend giving a stranger you've never met your address online. I was 17. Not that that excuses it. I definitely wouldn't be doing that now. So please learn from my mistakes and don't give a stranger your address. Luckily, she was who she said she was. She wasn't like a pedo. I wasn't getting catfished. She wasn't a stalker. It turned out okay in my situation, but you might not be so lucky. It could go really wrong if you had some random knowing where you live that you've never met before. Tip number 1. Don't give a stranger your address. She got a taxi to my house, and I remember being upstairs on the phone to one of my friends telling them what was going on, and I was like, she's coming over tonight. And I was, for lack of a better word, myself. I was so scared. She'd message me being like, I'm 10 minutes away, and I was freaking out. Like, I was just so nervous because I was also like, I really like this girl and I'm meeting up with her and I've never met her before. Is it gonna be awkward? Am I gonna be like uncomfortable? What's gonna go on? I don't know. So I'm on the phone to my friend upstairs and the doorbell rings. And I get this message from Jessica being like, I'm here. So I said goodbye to my friend. I was like, oh my gosh, she's here. I'm freaking out. I'll call you back later and fill you in on what happened. So I went downstairs. So I opened the door and it was like this blonde goddess angel had just rocked up to my house, and she was exactly how she looked in photos. She was even more beautiful, and I was just like pinching myself being like, how is this real? How did I meet this girl on this blog website and now she's on my front doorstep? Like, what are all of this? So I obviously invited her inside. We went to my room, we were chatting, like getting to know each other, hanging out. I didn't tell my parents that I'd met this girl online. I was like, oh yeah, I met her like through a friend of a friend, like blah blah blah, because I know they wouldn't have been a fan of me bringing some random girl over that I met on the internet. So we made up some like fake backstory and it was fine. No questions were asked. So at this point in time, I wasn't out to my brother yet, but I remember whenever I'd have her over, I feel like my brother had a little bit of a crush on her. He'd always say like, she's so hot, and I'd be like, I know, she's a babe. But little did he know that we were actually more than friends. So that was kind of interesting. I think he had like a little crush on her, but obviously it runs in the family because I had a massive crush on her too. And we went up to my room and we were just hanging out, chatting, getting to know each other, and we basically spent like the whole night just chatting and hanging out. Nothing happened this night. We basically were just getting to know each other. A lot of flirting happened. Yeah, it was cute. It was innocent. It was cute. I liked it. It was a good time. Later that night, a few hours went by and she was like, I should probably go. So I think her friend picked her up and she went home. And we were texting like straight after she left, saying how good it was to meet each other and how we had a really good time. And somehow we got into a conversation of like, is there anything you regret not doing? I'm pretty sure she initiated this conversation and asked me like, is there anything you regret not doing tonight, or anything you would change about tonight? And I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had the text messages to, let me just check my phone just in case, although this was like 8 years ago, so probably not. I've had a few new phones, but you never know. So we were kind of still like flirting in the text, being like, you know, like it was so good to finally meet you, you're really beautiful, throwing out the compliments and like sussing the situation, because I had no idea. Did she like me? Did I live up to her expectation of me on the internet? I was unsure, but these texts afterwards kind of confirmed that we were on the same page and we wanted to see each other again. We got onto the conversation of anything that we regretted or we would have changed about the night, or something we wish we did. And I was really scared because like I wanted to say, I wish I kissed you, but I was really scared to say it, but she wasn't. So she then said, I regret not kissing you, and then I went back and said like, I regret not kissing you too. I don't know, I was really like shy and nervous. I kind of like didn't want to be the first person to say it, whereas now I feel like I'm a bit more direct and a bit more forthright with my feelings. But at the time I was 17 and I was just like, this was a whole new world. Cue Aladdin song. But I can't cue it because I will get copyrighted. But picture a whole new world from Aladdin playing in the background of this video. The ice had kind of been broken at this point. We'd kind of said we wanted to kiss each other and we wanted something to happen and we wanted to see each other again, so we decided to hang out again. This happened I think like a week or two later. My friends were having like a gathering at their house and I decided to invite her. So she came with me and we went to one friend's house for pre-drinks, and then we went to the gathering. So I remember at the first friend's house we were all like having a few drinks. Yes, underage drinking, don't do it, wouldn't recommend. 1 second. We were drinking out of like mugs and we were basically mixing our own like vodka, orange juice I think, or vodka something, I can't remember, it's irrelevant. And I remember her literally pouring vodka straight from the bottle into a mug and like just drinking it by itself, and I was like, aren't you gonna mix that? And she was like, no, it's fine, and just like sculled this vodka. And to be honest, I do think it was because we were both nervous, like we were both drinking quite quickly. None of the people I was with were like close friends, so it was like a group of guys mainly, and none of them actually knew what was going on between her and I hadn't told them about this. I just said like, can my friend come? So they had no idea that we were like semi on our second date. Super romantic, I know. We were having a few drinks and then we decided to go to the gathering. Her and I were sitting in the back of the car and like my friend and his friend were in the front, and I remember her grabbing my hand, and so we were like holding hands in the back of the car. This is like so cute, isn't it? This is like warming my little queer heart. And she grabbed my hand and we were like holding hands and like gave each other like a little look in the back, but it was like kind of cute, but we hadn't kissed yet. The anticipation was building. We kind of like looked at each other with like I don't know, deep eye contact, that deep gaze, and then we eventually got to the gathering. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a very like friendly person, and often that can get mistaken for flirting, and on this night it did. We were all like hanging out, sitting in a circle, like having drinks and stuff like that, and I was obviously talking to one of my guy friends, and you know, like we were just having like a normal conversation, but I think Jessica took it as me flirting with him and being interested in him, which was not the case at all. Like I was very much interested in her, and I remember she was getting a bit sulky about it, like she was not happy. What I later realized was this girl was really hot and cold. I think as well it was our age, like we were both kind of like testing the waters, and she was very much like, one minute she was really like sweet, and the next minute she could be like really blunt and really, I don't want to say rude, but like kind of rude, and she got kind of annoyed. And I remember her like walking down the side of the house, and I was like, I need to make sure that she's okay, because I don't want her being annoyed at me for something I didn't do. In my eyes, I hadn't done anything wrong. I was just being myself and hanging out with my guy mates, but I also feel like she hadn't seen me in a social situation before, so she could have kind of quite easily taken it as me being flirty or interested in one of the guys, when that wasn't the case at all. So she walked down like the side of the house. It was kind of like an alleyway on the side of the house, but on the property. And I remember like walking after her, and she said to me like, you're interested in, I'm gonna call him Jack. You're interested in Jack, I can tell. I can see how you're like flirting and the way you're interacting with him. Cue like romantic movie scenario. And she was going on about that, and she was like visibly upset. But then we had our first kiss. This felt like a movie. This little scene, I could write that in a script for a movie. Like it was really romantic and kind of cheesy now that I'm like saying it out loud. She was standing up against the house, like a brick wall. We were talking and I was like, the wall's here, she's here, and I'm here. So we're like facing each other, and she's up against the wall. And she was saying like, you're into him, I can tell, blah, 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 blah. And then there was like this silence. And I remember saying, oh, I can't, it's cringy, but it was cute at the time, but now it's cringy. But I remember saying like, I don't want him, I want you. And then we like had our first kiss, and it was really cute. What? I don't know why this like, it makes me uncomfortable like talking about this, like little high school queer Amy like making her first move. I just remember this surge of, I don't even know what to call it, like energy slash lust slash finally things making sense, because I hadn't actually had proper feelings for a girl before, and it was kind of like this new, like it was like as if it was like my first kiss. I hadn't felt this with any guy before. I had never had this feeling, and it was just indescribable. I can't even explain it. If any of you can relate, let me know down below in the comments, like your first kiss with a girl. I kissed other girls before, but none of them that I actually had feelings for, and it was just something else. Like it felt foreign to me because I hadn't had this with any of my previous boyfriends before. I could go into more detail, but I'm gonna try keep it PG, but we kissed against the wall for a while. That's all I'll say there. We then went back. It was kind of hot because it was like our little secret. There were probably like 20 people sitting in a circle playing drinking games and smoking weed and hanging out, and none of them knew what had just happened, but only her and I did. So we'd like look at each other and like kind of smile, and it was like our little secret. And so we kept drinking and partying, and I remember she was sitting on my lap, and I like had my arms like around her waist. We were both pretty drunk at this point. Then I remember my friend dropped us back at my house, and in the back of the car we like held hands, and it was cute. And so that was our little first kiss. And so we got back to my house. She stayed at mine. I've always had this with girls initially. Whenever I have like a girl to sleep over that I like in the early stages, I cannot sleep. I'm so nervous, like I can't even explain it. And I was lying in bed and she was asleep next to me, and I was so nervous that I couldn't sleep. She's so cute. Like I was just like this happy little queer teen that like hadn't even discovered her queerhood properly yet. Although I haven't had a girlfriend in a while, so I don't know if I'd still be the same. Maybe it was because I was just younger, but it was really nerve-wracking, but in like a good way, not in like an uncomfortable way. So then some time went by, and she ended up back at my house again, and we were hanging out. I'm pretty sure we were watching the L Word. I don't know if it got like our, not us turned on, but like kind of like inspired. I don't know, like seeing other queer women doing their thing, not just sexually, but just like dating each other. I don't know if it gave us like a bit more confidence, or we're like, oh, I can relate, that is us. And her and I never ended up in a relationship. We just were seeing each other, like in that seeing each other phase for a really long time, where we weren't getting with anyone else, but we really liked each other, but we never like fully made it official. And this night I remember her and I had sex for the first time, and it was good. Like I hadn't had sex with a girl that I had really strong feelings for. I don't know if she's gonna watch this, so I don't really know how I feel about saying this next part, but she was more on like the pillow princess side. That sounds brutal, but she was definitely more of a receiver than a giver, which is fine. Like, I don't mind it because I have my moments where I am kind of like to be kind of dominant in the bedroom. Wow, so much information coming out in this video. Definitely spilling the tea. So especially initially, I didn't mind this because it was kind of hot to be in control. And I guess it's different depending on who you're with. Usually, like, if I'm with someone that's more masculine and dominant, then I tend to be more the submissive one, but also I have my moments. Like, I don't like being one or the other. I do like to chop and change depending on my mood. But I found with this girl, I was usually the dominant one, which is fine. But I do like a bit of variation, I'm not gonna lie. But initially this didn't really worry me because it was all kind of new and I was just finding my feet. And I just remember every time we'd get together, like, it would be reciprocated, but she would be... Wow, okay, I can't believe I'm saying this. I hope this video doesn't get demonetized. But she would say, like, can you do it again? The little submissive part of me though kind of wanted her to just like throw me down and like do her thing. But I feel like maybe it was our age and this was her first experience with a girl. Like, she'd never been with a girl. She was very much exploring her sexuality. So because I was so young and this was like one of my first interactions with a girl, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I just kind of winged it, and wing it I did. But she hasn't been with a guy since, so I obviously didn't do too badly. I don't want to like toot my own horn or be like, I turned her, because I don't think I did. I think that would have happened anyway. So that was like my first sexual encounter with a girl I liked. So Jessica and I ended up seeing each other for a good few months and we just like continued our thing. But it got to a point where I started really seeing how like hot and cold she was. And it started frustrating me because it was like I couldn't please her. Not sexually, but in general. It was like no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough. It almost felt like she liked fighting or liked arguing, or she wanted like some sort of drama or reaction from me. And I guess probably because we were both quite immature. She was 16, I was 17. We'd always have these like little pointless, stupid arguments over text message. And I felt like I just couldn't do anything right by her. It was quite exhausting and quite draining, and I almost felt like I wasn't good enough for her. That no matter what I did, she just wasn't happy. I guess part of that maybe was her personality. Like, she is quite sassy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, she's a sass queen. I love her. She's a great girl. Like, her and I have remained friends. Like, I don't really see her anymore, but she's got a new girlfriend and they're really cute and really happy. They just got a dog. Like, very happy for her. But yeah, there's no bad blood. I think a lot of this was our age as well as her being a sassy person. Both of us had never had feelings for a girl before, and we were kind of just testing the waters. And like, it did end with us ending what we had. We never fully made it official, so we kind of never fully like broke up. So that's what happened there, and that kind of concludes my first time with a girl. If you guys want to hear my very first sexual experience with a girl, it was earlier in high school, and it was more like a I wonder what this would feel like kind of thing. It didn't happen as organically as this did. So this is why I kind of classify this as my first time with a girl properly, because there were feelings on both sides, and it was kind of like, I don't want to say my first girlfriend, but I guess you could say it was like my first fling or my first thing with a girl. This girl is a babe. I have nothing bad to say about her. I think at the time, like, we were just young, emotions were high, and honestly, after we stopped seeing each other, we remained friends. Like, we went to music festivals together, we hung out, we went out for lunch, we still remained friends. And yeah, I think it lasted like 6 months, like, pretty solid effort. But yeah, that pretty much sums up my first time with a girl. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little story time. And if you haven't seen my other story time videos on my channel, I do have one where I talk about my paranormal experience, which is scary and is why I'm scared of being in the dark by myself. And I have another experience where I got chased by what I think was a pedo. So that was a good time. Some really good memes. Love it. If you're a fellow queer and you're feeling a bit daring, leave a comment below. Tell me your first time with a girl, whether that be emotionally or physically. Like, what was it like? What did you feel? Were you also nervous? Do you also get nervous when you lie in the same bed as a girl you like? Like, am I alone here? If you guys want to keep up to date with my everyday life, you can follow me on my Instagram. It's at AmyGrace with 3 E's. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new, and join the family on this channel. And I will see you very soon in my next video, which will be sometime in the future. Bye! There is a piece of lint on my nose. Why won't it? Oh my gosh, I can't get it. Okay, it's gone.